Hi, welcome to Undead Yarn. My name is Heidi, and this is episode 25. Wow, 25, and I am very glad that I said the right number this time. Last time I had to go back and fix it. Anyway, you can find me as Nitty Girl on Ravelry and Instagram, or Ravelry and Plurk, and Nitty Girl 1 on Instagram and Twitter. How's everybody been doing? I know it's been a couple of weeks. My husband and I and our dogs all took a trip up to Nashville, and we went to go to the market at SSK and also take a little vacation. I've never been there. Sorry, I just got my hair cut yesterday and I'm getting used to it. I'm not used to it being flat and straight like this. And actually tomorrow I'm probably going to color it because it's driving me crazy. I have a lot of gray now. Anyway, we hadn't been up there before and I thought it would be fun to take a trip and then, double as a chance to go and meet people at SSK and go see the vendors and get yarn I have not been able to get before. Anyway, we left not last week, it was obviously the week before, but we left on the 16th and we drove up to Little Rock. And when we were in Little Rock, we went out that night. It was actually really fun because we got a hotel downtown and we just walked to, I don't remember if it was called Main Street or what it was, but it was cute. It was like, they had a lot of little restaurants and everything. And so we went to a couple of pubs and we had some local beer from Arkansas. And there was a guy who was playing reggae and had, I forget what you call them, those metal drums maybe? They're calypso sounding when you play them. Anyway, we had a good time. If you saw on Instagram, I posted a couple of pictures when I was there. And then the next day we drove up to Nashville. And our hotel there wasn't as nice as it was in Little Rock, but it was still pretty good. Anyway, what did we do that first day? I don't think we really did anything. We went out to dinner. We went to an Irish pub. Oh, and I saw a bunch. They had a really good band. It was an Irish pub, so they had a band that was playing fiddle and Irish music. And there were actually a lot of men in there dressed in kilts. And some women came in also dressed, had skirts on. And a little girl had on like a mini skirt that had, the tartan design on it. And I got a picture of a couple of the guys. When we went outside the pub, when we were leaving, I got a picture of a couple of them and I posted on Instagram. And quite a few people enjoyed that picture. Anyway, then the next day was, let's see, by that time that was Thursday. So Friday, we went to the Grand Ole Opry in the morning, and that was a lot of fun. I got to see... It was interesting to see like where they walked in, and it's funny because the Grand Ole Opry, the way that it is, it's set up not so like big grand scale like some of the movie theaters or where they have awards or things like that. There's not a big red carpet or anything. There's a small walkway. It's nice and it's cute, but it's just a small walkway that they walk up into and they go through the artist entrance and they let us go through all that area and see it. It was kind of neat because they said it's very, not informal, but more laid back than some of the other big places where you go to see famous superstars sing. And they said even some of the people just drive up in their cars, get out the car, and walk up the blue carpet area. And in that little area, it's outside. They have a little fountain that apparently Minnie Pearl used to have in her yard. And I guess because she was really big when the Grand Ole Opry got started, they put that in the. She or her family, they donated it to the Grand Ole Opry, so it's cute. It's a cute little fountain that's in the front. The thing that I thought was really neat for me was we got to go and see where Hee Haw was was recorded, and that was one of my parents' favorite shows when we were kids, because my parents are from the South, and when I grew up, I didn't grow up in the South, because I lived in the Midwest, and then I lived in the Northeast. We moved for my dad's job, but they really enjoyed seeing it. I guess it reminded them, some of the stuff about being back home, so it was nice to see that. And it's a very interesting studio. Apparently they still use it, and I think sometimes they use it for the new show called Nashville. That's sometimes they film there. And they had a little display, and I got to see Minnie Pearl's old shoes, and they had a display for some of the costumes that people wore for Nashville. And you get to go through the Opry, and there's different costumes of people like Barbara Mandrell, or I forget his name, was Little Jimmy, the little short guy he's an older man now, and he was very popular, and I think he's part of the founding people that started the Grand Ole Opry. Apparently it was downtown initially in a place called Ryman Hall, and then it was rebuilt. This new one was rebuilt later, and they even said they had a flood not that long ago, and they had the flood line in the green room. You could see how high up it had gone. They had to do a whole big remodel after that. But anyway, then we got to see the dressing rooms. It was really neat. That was a really neat experience. And I realized I have not even talked about my knitting at all yet. This is not going to be a typical episode, but I will talk about some of those things too. I just kind of started talking about SSK because that's kind of the big thing that's happened in the last couple of weeks, and that's also why I didn't record, because we drove there. It took us 2 days to drive there, and it took us we took like 3 days to drive back. We took our time coming back because it was kind of, well, for us it seemed long. We're not like, I have driven, the longest I've driven by myself is about 7 hours. The longest that my husband and I have driven together is probably about 10 to 12 hours at a time, but it's really tiring. So we broke it up on 2 days on the way there, and then on the way back we took 3 days. So that's what we did the first couple of days there. And I'm trying to think of what we did for dinner on Friday night. Oh, we went to the Fat Bottom Brewery, and that was fun. We got a flight of beers, and got to see a little local brewery. That was interesting. And then Saturday was the market, and so I don't even remember. Oh, Saturday morning we did go downtown, and we got to see. We walked through the building where the Country Music Hall of Fame was, and it's a beautiful building. They have gift shops. They had the Hatch Print Show, which we walked through. We didn't have enough time to go to the Country Music Hall of Fame because I wanted to make sure that we made it to Scarrett Bennett in enough time to get to the market early, like right when it opened. So we were there and we walked around, and beautiful, beautiful place, and it's connected to a hotel. You can tell that they've really, that's like a big deal down there. It was, the Country Music Hall of Fame was near the convention center, and it was near also, there's a baseball stadium, I think, for, I can't remember, was that there or Memphis? It's basically way downtown, and there was a big brewery, Brewers Festival going on down there too, that was right out front. So some of the streets were blocked off. But yeah, that's what we did in the morning, and then we went to Scarrett Bennett, and I ran into some other podcasters, and they kind of directed us to where the food was, because we were there early enough that we wanted to eat first. So we went to the Mellow Mushroom, and I have never been there, and it was really awesome. I got the white pizza, or we shared the white pizza, and it was so yummy. It was really, really good. And I think we were both thinking that the secret to their pizza was their crust. It's really, really good. They said it was half wheat and half white, and it's a thin crust, and it was delicious. So that was really good. And then we walked over back to Scarrett Bennett, because what was nice is you could just park at Scarrett Bennett, because all over Nashville, like, you have to pay to park. If you're downtown, you're paying for parking. It's almost impossible. Like, everything's metered. There's not really any lots. There's no free lots that we could find. So yeah, you had to pay for parking. So it was nice that Scarrett Bennett we didn't have to. So we went back and got in line, and I saw my friend Chanita from Austin from here. She was actually at SSK. She got in luckily at the last minute. And I met Vicky with no E, who was my very first customer of Undead yarn. She's the first one to buy a skein of my zombified yarn. And it was nice to meet her. And she was showing us all the stuff that she bought. She had a lot of beautiful things that she had bought at the market the first time around, because they let the people who were in SSK who were attending the retreat go in the morning, and then they closed and they let everybody go to lunch, which is nice. The vendors had a chance to go to lunch too, and then they reopened again at 1 to the public. And so that was nice. I also got to see Mrs. Shu from the Innocent podcast. She was also in town with her family, and they were just at the market as well. And then most of the other people I saw that I talked to that I knew were from podcasts, and they were vending. So when I first went in, I hit fiber optics. I was completely distracted by fiber optics. Well, after I said hello to Laura and Leslie and thanked them for, they asked me to donate a skein of yarn. I donated a skein of my yarn to their prize package thing. I guess sometime during the retreat they give away door prizes, and so my skein of yarn was one of my skeins of yarn was a door prize. But anyway, I went to fiber optic, and then I was right across from Mustache, and I've never been able to catch any of her updates, so got right in line for that. And I was luckily enough able to grab a, let's see if I've got it right here. Actually, I do. I grabbed Unicorn Apocalypse, which a lot of you have probably seen. She's actually knitting on this right now, so if you watched her podcast that they just put out recently, this is the one that she was knitting on. And I also got a variegated skein of her yarn. Let's see if I can find that one too. It's hard to, oh, okay. I got a variegated skein of her yarn too, and this one is called, I think this is Jump and Jive. It's on her Jump and Jive base. This is called Coral Reef, and this one is variegated. But I'm a big fan of the hot pink and orange, and it's got hot pink and orange and yellow and just really pretty rainbowy type colors. So I went there first, and then I kind of made my way around. It was in a big circle while I was waiting in line for Stacy's yarn, because she had a line at her booth. Hers was one of the most popular booths in the whole place. And while I was waiting in line, Jinx Yarns was right behind her, so I got to talk to Laura, and we met her husband. My husband was there too. He came with me, obviously, on the trip, but he was nice enough to come with me to the into the vendor hall. And so kind of made our way around. All the vendors were wonderful. I obviously couldn't buy from everyone because need money. Everybody needs money. But I did get quite a lot. So I may not show everything this time. I might spread it out over the next couple of episodes. And I do want to talk about what I'm working on right now too, and show y'all some new yarns. The other thing I was very happy to get, I should show you my fiber optics, because that was the first thing I got. So let me show you that first. And I got fiber from them. And I did show on the podcast. I did buy a gradient from them once, but they're very hard to get too. She puts an update up every week on Saturday, and there's only a certain number of pre-orders. But when I was talking to the lady who runs it, she said that it's going to be a little different now, that I think there'll be more options for you to, if you can't get the first pre-order, there'll be more options for you to get it at a later date. So I thought that was pretty nice. This is a hot pink sunshine gradient, and of course I had to get this one because, these are my colors. The only color that's not mine that's mine that's not in there is brown. This one is yellow to orange to red, and it gets a very deep red at the end. Lovely. And because that one did not have brown, I, of course, had to get the Autumn Harvest gradient, which has all my colors, yellow and orange and brown. I like red, but really these are my favorite colors. And the reason these are my favorite colors is I feel like these are some of the colors that look the best on me with my complexion and everything. I think I like the way that I look in the fall colors. So I got those two gradients from Fiber Optic, and I am very excited about that. Like I said, those are hard to get. And I got my first mustache yarns, which were wonderful because those are also hard to get. And I think I'm just going to go and talk about a couple of things, not everything today. I also talked to this brand new place was there, well, brand new to me. They're called the Ross Farm, and they had fleeces. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen the pictures of some of their lovely fleeces that they had. All their stuff was, I believe it was all natural color. I don't remember seeing any dyed skeins in there. But I really wanted to try, and I had seen that they were going to be there. They were a last-minute addition. Apparently one of the other vendors had to cancel, so they came. And I wanted to try the Leicester Longwool because it's very rare, and they had some roving. They had 2 ounces of roving, and this one is Leicester Longwool. And it says grown for you by Mr. Jefferson and Friends. Mr. Jefferson is, I think, one of her favorite sheep. And to go along with it, of course, she had some skull stitch markers, which are lovely with my beautiful copper colors on them. I love that. So I bought those from them. And I'm looking forward to trying this because I do like to spin the long staple yarns. I haven't knit with them yet. I think that I may crochet with them instead of knit with them. But I find them really fun to spin because you can really do nice long draw, and it's fun. So that'll be interesting to try. And let's see, I'll talk about one more thing that I got. And I'll save the rest for next week. I'm not a big bag person, but I really do, like I said, I'm not a big bag person, but I bought this from Tangerine Designs a couple of weeks ago, so I didn't buy another bag from her booth. But I've always enjoyed the fabric that Fat Squirrel has because it's very unusual and I don't see anybody else with this fabric. So I'm not sure where she gets it, but I really like it. And I've heard that her bags are very well made, and they are. This one has a canvas lining. And here is the pattern. And of course I picked this one because it's brown. I really like brown. And I love the nice little pull tag. And the cool thing about the pull tag is that it's a little clip. So if I need to clip it to something, I could do that. And I like that because I can also do that with my Tangerine Designs bag because there's a little clip on that. I have a couple of bags that have clips, and I find them very useful if I don't feel like bringing I have a big knitting bag that has all my notions and everything in it that I will bring with me when I'm going to knitting groups sometimes, but sometimes I just want to bring one project. And when I do that, I love to just grab my regular purse and clip on one of my bags. So those are very handy to have those little clips on the bags. But this is my Fat Squirrel bag, and it's my first one. Yay! And this is a pretty good size. I mean, it's got a decent amount of room on it. I could fit at least two or three skeins of yarn in here, so I'm sure this would be a nice shawl bag. It's a good size. So I think that's all I'm going to talk about for this week as far as what I bought at the market. I also, that evening, I'll show you this next week, but I also got to hang out with and talk to Jerry Brock. She and I used to be in the same knitting group ways back. I guess it's funny, it's been less than a year that she's been gone. I didn't realize it had only been that short of a time. But we got together for dinner, and I bought one of her spindles, and I'm looking forward to using it. She showed me how to use it, but I've totally, I remember how to do the half hitch to put it on, but I don't remember how to get the fiber started. So I'll probably take it with me to either a yarn shop or to a knitting group and have somebody help me. Or I guess I can look online. You can always find that stuff online. But anyway, we went and we tried some hot chicken, which I guess is really popular in Nashville, and it was delicious. I'll tell you, we went to this place called Hattie B's, and I'll tell you that I really didn't care for their sides that much, but the chicken was excellent, and it was nice chicken too. It wasn't like some of those regular chicken places, just they don't have the best chicken, that they fry it and it tastes good because it's fried. This was good chicken, like without even the wonderful spicy hot topping on it. The chicken itself was delicious. So that was a lot of fun. And we got to walk around down there. And we also went to a cupcake place. Oh, that was so good. And they're called, I think it was Mimi's Cupcakes. Oh my God, I got the best cupcake I've ever had. It was peanut butter cheesecake with a chocolate topping. And there was also like toffee flavoring in it. It was really, really good. So that was fun. And then when we were coming back, let's see, how did we come back? The first day, on our way back, we stopped in Memphis. And what did we do that day? Oh, we went downtown to Beale Street. Beale Street is similar to, well, I guess Nashville has Broadway. You know, they have a place where there's a lot of honky-tonks and country music and fiddle players and stuff. But it's basically like their bar scene. They also have a bar scene in Memphis. It's called Beale Street. So we went down there and we walked around down there. We also walked down Main Street, which was really cute. They had a lot of trees there, and it was quieter and kind of the brick roads. That was nice. And then the next day, we drove out to Graceland, and we didn't go in. Basically, it's a zoo out there. Like, when we drove in, first of all, you have to pay to park, which is like 10 to 15 bucks. Then on top of that, you have to pay to get into the building, you know. And the least expensive route was like to take an audio tour. But they don't even let you walk up to the house. You have to go across the street and wait for a bus to take you across the road into Graceland. So we just said no. We're not doing that. So we kind of got to look at the Lisa Marie jet was out front. We looked at that. We didn't get to go in it because, it's behind a wall and everything. And that's actually part of the premium package, I think, if you want to go in there. And then we walked across the street and kind of peeked in a little bit to see where the house was, but we couldn't see all that much. There's graffiti everywhere, all over the walls outside of Elvis Presley's house. There's just graffiti everywhere. Even the sign that's, you know how they have the historical landmarkers and they write a little passage on it? There's graffiti all over that sign too. It's just, crazy. And across the street, there are like 5 gift shops, and apparently the people in the gift shops there were telling us that there's 10 more gift shops up on the Graceland compound, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, it's just crazy. Crazy, crazy place. So we decided it was time to start driving back. And we stopped in Texarkana for the night, and we just went downtown to eat there. And that makes you think of like ghost town. It looked like there were lots of businesses that were closed. A couple of restaurants down there, but most of the stuff down there looked abandoned. All these big tall buildings, and just didn't look like there was much business going on down there. We stayed on the Arkansas side. There's a Texarkana, Arkansas, and a Texarkana, Texas, and we stayed on the Arkansas side. And then the next day we decided it was time to go home, so we drove home. That's my SSK recap, except next week, like I said, I will show you a little bit more each week. I did also meet some other people there. You know, I talked to Sadie from the Yarnivore podcast and got some of her yarn. I'll show you that next week. I talked to Steve of Dramatic Knits, and I got some of his Leading Men Fiber Arts yarn. And Knitting Rose, of course. My husband and I spent a little bit of time talking to her, and I bought some of her yarn. And then I also bought from Knitting Color, and of course Jinx. Oh, I will show you that one because I bought her fiber. This is new. She has just started dyeing fiber, and so did Stacy of Mustache. But I didn't even have any of her yarn, so I had to go for the yarn for Stacy. But a lot of people are starting to dye fiber now. So I bought some of Jinx's BFL, and it's just lovely. Beautiful colors. These are my colors, of course. Like I said, the orange and the red. And this has a little bit of purple in it too. And it feels wonderful. She did a really nice job dyeing it up. It still feels soft and squishy. And so that's going to be up on my, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll try that on my spindle. We'll see. I was going to say it'd be up on my wheel, but my wheel is still full of the fiber from that farm I showed y'all. Let's see, I still have it over here. Sorry, I'm leaning out of the frame. I still have this one over here that I'm spinning on. The churro, the Navajo churro. I'm still spinning on this, and this is still on my wheel. This was the local stuff that I got from the Weavers and Spinners Guild. So I'm still spinning on this, and my bobbin's almost full, and it's a jumbo bobbin. I'm hoping I can get all 4 ounces on it, but it's spinning so thin, and look how much I still have left. That looks to me at least 2 ounces. So I don't know. We'll see if I can get it all on one bobbin. I hope I can. Anyway, on to my works in progress. I do have a finished object. I guess I'll show it to you, but I still have to block it. So this was the shawl that I knit out of the Gradients yarn that the yarn that I had dyed a long time ago before I actually started my shop when I was practicing dyeing. I used some recycled wool to dye a gradient yarn using a tutorial that, like I said, I would not recommend. But here's my finished object. This is the Autumn Harvest Shawl by Carrie Steinmetz. I still have to block it, so I will show it after I block it again. So that's the only finished object I have. The funny thing is, I really didn't knit a whole lot on the retreat. And I think that's probably kind of typical. Seems like whenever I go to, this is my first time going, well, actually I wasn't in the retreat, I just went to the market. But we were on vacation mode, so it seems like we were either doing something or we were resting, or so I really didn't knit a whole lot. But since we've been back, I have been knitting, and I'm working on a blanket. It's a garter stitch blanket, and it's out of a brown sparkly yarn. I believe this is a universal yarn. Let's see. And I know it's acrylic and nylon. Yeah, this is Rossetti and soft payette. It's machine washable. I have about 5 skeins, so I've got about a little over 1,000 yards of this. Probably like 1050, maybe a little more. And I'm knitting a blanket for myself because it's brown and sparkly. And I'm using my Hiya-Hiyas. These are size 6. Yeah, these are Hiya-Hiyas size 6. And I think this is like, might have been a 32, 40-inch cable. And it's pretty much taken up the whole thing. So I'm on my second skein. And this is a very simple garter stitch. No pattern needed. Cast on like, I think about 200 stitches around there, something like that. And the other thing that I'm working on is I am working on the shawl again. I guess I can show you what I have so far. I've done maybe 2 or 3 repeats. And when I'm done with this, it will be a free pattern on Ravelry. And I've also gotten in my new bases. I have a new base that is a lace weight, and it has a lot of yards. I know it's at least 900 yards. It might be more than that. And it's 100% merino with a high twist. So I'm going to be dyeing up some of that yarn in the hot pink color. I haven't decided what I'm going to call it yet, but I will be dyeing up some yarn like this for the shop. And those were the two things that I've worked on. I did work a little bit on a crochet sweater, but I think I might have talked about that the last time I podcasted. I didn't get very far. I just did a couple of rows when I was at my Crochet Guild meeting. The other thing that I have to talk about is I wanted to also tell you guys I do have several new bases, and two of them, or one of them, is up in the shop right now. Two of them I'm working on. Like I said, the lace weight one I'll be working on. And this is my merino cashmere nylon base, and this I decided to call the Siren base because who can resist cashmere? And this is a self-striping, and this is a roadkill self-striping because it didn't come out the way I expected it to, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it again. I could try, but I may not be able to duplicate it, but it's just beautiful orange and purple, and they're both variegated. And if you want to know what it's up like, you can look in my shop. So this is in the Siren base. And then I also have a BFL base. Now I have not dyed anything for the shop yet. This is a sample for me because I want to see if what my plans are going to pan out. So I'm going to be knitting this one up, but I will show you that I have a gradient. Actually, I call this progressive. Somebody in the group asked what a difference between the progressive and a gradient is. A gradient, from what I understand, is one color with, it's like a monochromatic change. So the color might be a dark pink and then go progressively lighter and lighter and lighter. A progressive is when one color fades into another color, fades into another color. So they're multicolored. So this would be considered a progressive. And that's why my Pennywise, this would be Pennywise as well. This is another Pennywise gradient. But this one is on a knitted tube. And I am going to knit this one up as a pair of socks before I put it in the shop, because I did this in a special way, and I want to see if it's going to work out the way that I think it will work out. So planning, if this works out, I'm planning on putting this in the shop. But I'm going to knit it up first and see if it works out the way I'm planning for it, because I have certain plans for this. And I'll tell you details after I start knitting it. So I have two new bases. This one is a BFL sock, and it's 400 yards. And then this one is the merino cashmere nylon base. It's called the Siren base. I have two of these available right now. I will be dyeing up some more yarn in the BFL base, but the gradient I'm going to hold off on putting, well, not the gradient, the progressive. I'm going to hold off on putting that one in the shop until after I've knit it. And that's kind of where things are right now. I have not done any spinning. My plan is hopefully in the next couple of weeks to get a bunch of stuff up in the shop before school starts. We got a couple more days for the knit along, crochet along, which is the knit all the things, knit along, crochet along, and you can enter anything that you finish in the months of June and July, and I will be closing that July 31st, or depending, probably in the morning on August 1st, because I'm not a late night person. If I happen to be up late, maybe I'll close it at midnight, but I'm usually sleeping by then. So I will probably be closing that thread on August 1st, and if you have anything you've finished within those months, knitting or crocheting, I'm not including spinning, it's just knitting and crocheting. Any finished objects in the month of June and July, you can post them for a chance to win. I have 4 prizes, and one is the Op Art sock book. I am offering up a skein of my yarn from my shop, and it will be your choice. I'm offering up a $10 or less pattern that's giftable on Ravelry, and I'm also offering, I have a skein of Fresh from the Cauldron gradient yarn that you can see if you go back and look at the other podcasts. You can see the colorway. It's basically browns and grays and blues. So that's going to end soon. And I also wanted to let y'all know that since I will be going back to work in about 3 weeks, I have a coupon code that's going to be good until the day I go back, which is August 19th. And the coupon code is Summer's End. And that's all one word, all smushed together, one word. I'll write it down. All together, one word in capitals. And you can get 15% off in the shop from now until, here's Summer's End, from now until August 19th. Starts right now. Anyway, that's it for this week, and hopefully I will see you guys next week, and I will start showing you guys more stuff that I got from SSK, and it will be back to more of a normal podcast. So with that, get busy knitting or get busy dyeing. Bye, y'all.